Hello, it's Milton Kane, the Christian Democratic Party candidate for the federal seat of Newcastle. What I'd like to talk to you about at this present time is health. We have some really big concerns about health. Any of us who have been up to the John Hunter Hospital know that if we go to casualty up there, we need to take virtually a sleeping bag because we know that we're going to be there for a very long time. It used to be a point of time when the Mater Hospital, you could go there and you could be fairly assured to go through there fairly quickly. But that's not the case anymore. Things aren't working too well in our casualty. And if we were to ask the State Minister why, he would say there's federal government rules, regulations and cutbacks. If we were to ask the Federal Health Minister, they would say there's been staff cutbacks, there's been funding reductions by the state government. The blame game does not stop people from getting sick. The blame game does not make people who are sick get better. It just frustrates the life out of everyone. We actually have essentially, as far as the equipment is concerned and the experience, we have medical facilities and medical staff probably second to none in the world. We can deliver world-class health care, but we're unable to do it because of the continual argument over funding, continual argument over how many staff we do or don't need. One of the problems is, as rules change in one area of health, what happens? It pushes people into another area. GP services were attacked with an assault some time back, and that meant there was more people going to casualty, which meant the casualty staff couldn't handle it, which meant that people are complaining, and rightly so, that they're waiting inordinate times for health services to be given to them. Where we find people, the mistakes are being made, where people who are virtually at the point of delivery, as in one very recent case, being told, well, we can't help you, go away because you're not really ready. And then having the mother deliver the child right there in the hospital without any assistance whatsoever. These sorts of things happen when you have a healthcare out of control. And that's essentially what we have. I can remember a time before Medibank, a long time ago, the pre-Gough Whitlam days. Back then, doctors donated time to the hospitals. Back then, things were very different. People paid only a pittance for health insurance and got free health services as a result of that insurance. These days you pay health insurance and you still pay a lot of money. There seems to be some really big problems. Now, I'm not suggesting that we need to cut back on the money that some people get, but we have to manage things in a better way. We're not doing a very good job at all. We've got to manage it in a way that the state can't blame the federal and the federal can't blame the state. At the end of the day, we know when we've got healthcare right. That means when we go into a casualty service in a hospital, we won't find lots of people who have been waiting there for hours at a time. Recently, I had a motor vehicle accident in a taxi that I was driving, and because I bumped my head There was nothing actually wrong with me as far as my head was concerned. But because I had bumped my head, I needed to get a medical clearance before I could drive another vehicle, because as a professional driver it was required that I have evidence of the fact that I'm not suffering from delayed concussion. That would be very dangerous if I was. I arrived up at a hospital, a casualty, under my own steam. I arrived up there, as I recall, the best I can recall, somewhere around about 7 o'clock at night. At 2 a.m, very tired, very uncomfortable, very hungry, I decided to go home to bed. I went home to bed because when I asked the triage nurse, roughly how long do you think I might have to further wait? She says, well, I have no idea. It'll be at least 2 hours, 3 hours. That's not very successful. That's not very good healthcare. There are many solutions that we can come up with. And one of the simple solutions that I have proposed, and some hospitals are trialling something similar but not exactly what I mean, where you actually have a GP there in the hospital at the casualty. And you go in there and you see the triage nurse, and if you're not an urgent case, you're on the list to go and see the GP. Some big hospitals, maybe there might be more than one GP. But the most important thing would be that people would be seen a lot quicker. Some people are going there simply because the after-hours doctor service doesn't work anymore. There was one time when GPs, they had their people, their patients, and they just turned up when you were crook. I remember when our son was young, having a doctor arrive just to check on him, 11 o'clock at night. Wasn't asked to come, but he just come to check, just to make sure he was all right before we went to bed. You don't see that today, not at all. You see, we've moved away from health care. We've moved away from the care of health. That's where the problem is. We need to rethink the whole process. I have a few ideas. I would like very much to argue and debate them within the Parliament to try and get out a better system. One that will deliver prompt healthcare. One that will still deliver quality healthcare. And one that will make sure that people can be treated close to their homes as well, as much as they're able. One of the big failures of our current healthcare policy is the fact that people who are from a place like Bulahdelah, for example, they will come down to Newcastle for treatment. Now I can understand that when the very intense and specialised surgery occurs, they may have to go to a major centre to do that. But once the major surgery is performed and the person is essentially recovered from that, I don't see why they don't get returned to their place. It seems to me that if I was in a hospital for some time and I was recovering from some trauma of some sort, once the major surgery is performed, it seems to me that my friends, my family, and others that would know me in my neighbourhood, I would like them to come along and encourage me from time to time. If they have to drive 200-300 kilometres, it's not going to happen very much. So within what I say about we need to look at healthcare, one of the things we most definitely have to look at is how to keep open regional hospitals, country hospitals, We need to keep them open, even if they are only as a recovery hospital as such. But the other side of it is, you need to have casualty services there as well. Simply because if somebody has hurt themselves, it really is a waste of resources to take the person to a major town or city 300-400 kilometres away, when an operation could be performed at the local hospital, if but it was there, if but there were the staff. We need to reevaluate all that we do. We used to do it fairly well in the past, but because of our ideology got in the way, we've lost our way with healthcare. I don't know all of the answers, and I don't pretend to, but I do know one thing. I understand many of the problems, and we are doing it very badly at present. The government has got no idea what it's doing, whether it be the state government or the federal government. They are dithering, spinning their wheels as it were, and blaming each other. Send me to Canberra and I will sort out our healthcare services. Thank you.